What's up, horror fans? Welcome back to the Horror Channel. This is the Horror Channel podcast, and today with me I have JK, and we're going to discuss HorrorHound. What's up, JK? How you doing?
Greg, I'm great. Thank you so much for taking the time to reach out and want to have me on. The Horror Channel is a rising star, so I appreciate being a part of this, and I appreciate you for the enthusiasm, not only about horror, but HorrorHound as well.
Yeah, I was actually just there the past one, the March in March that we
Absolutely.
did.
Great
Well,
show.
yeah, it was a blast, man. I had such a good time there. It was so fun, and just to see all the people and all the vendors and everything. And I wanted to, after I connected with you through the
Right.
social medias, I was like, hey, this guy works for HorrorHound. So tell us a little about what you do for HorrorHound.
Well, I was going to say, Greg, you're a wise man. I mean, not because of me, but for the fact reaching out about HorrorHound, because the magazine convention both coming up on anniversaries, as we know. In fact, this year was the anniversary of the magazine, and 2027 will be the anniversary of the convention. So one follows the other pretty quickly, in the great stuff
Yeah.
that Nathan Hanneman and Jeremy Sheldon, among others, in the Hound family have done. But for me, I go back to about 2012, around there, when I started to attend HorrorHound, and I started out like every intrepid journalist out there, and was just trying to get people to talk with me and trying to get inside and talk with people, and looking at the surroundings and going, one day I'm hoping those after hour parties, I'm going to be walking through there with a staff shirt. I'm going to be the one that's going to be hosting things. And I'm going to tell you, Greg, it took a while to be able to do it, because it wasn't until 2016 that, around there 15, 16, I started writing for the magazine. And I still was not a part of the convention yet, because between 2012, 2016, I was paying my dues, doing the Horror Happens radio show, and then Horror Happens radio, live radio, 4 to 5 hours every week, 4 to 7 guests every week, in this massive collaboration that was 7 days a week. And they started to notice me, especially since I was showing up there, driving to Cincinnati, to Columbus, to Indianapolis, with my camera, and going around talking with people, having Nathan, primarily having Aaron Crowell, having Jason Cretton, among others, on the program to talk about the convention like you're doing now.
Yeah.
For me, I think that's one of the smartest things, Greg, that you're doing, and a lot of people don't do, is to go ahead and have on the people who are doing, as I like to say, the meat work, who are going out there, who are creating these amazing events, and are in the inside skeleton, really making everything work from the inside out. And having them on, they noticed me more and more. Aaron Christensen, Dr. AC, and John Kitley, who also writes for the magazine. Aaron Christensen's no longer with them for a while, but he was big at that time. They all noticed. And finally, I got my opportunity after doing a subscription photo shoot of The Strangers, which was amazing to recreate that in my house in Northwest New Jersey, but more to go ahead, Greg, and be able to say, okay, you can start with reviews. Okay, we like what you're doing with reviews. We're going to move you up to interviews. You're going to film festivals. Can you get us coverage of the film festival? Because nowadays, Greg, a lot of people, this is how they get their career in journalism off the ground. They do the podcast now. Back then there was podcasts, but it was, this was a decade ago, at least, if not more. It wasn't as traditional. It wasn't as significant a tool. So you had to go, and I can't tell you how many miles or hours or days I put in, but let's just say this. At one point, from 2015, 16 to 2019, until the pandemic, Greg, I was on the road 20 to 25 weekends a year covering film festivals. And I wasn't even a part of HorrorHound in the convention or film festival yet. I was just doing my magazine, my contributions to the magazine, as well as going ahead and, kind of getting my roots in the ground, because Fangoria, Rue Morgue, HorrorHound, maybe you could put Scream Magazine, Diabolic used to be one of those magazines. Those are like the big ones of the last 15 years, maybe more, 20 years. And you really have to work your way in, because that 1% that gets lucky enough to be able to do this and catches fire is far and few.
Mm-hmm.
So it took a lot of work, Greg, to be able to get in there. And as I got in there and I covered film festivals, the doors opened up and I started covering their horror news, the interviews and reviews for a lot of the indie stuff, which I love doing every once in a while, a
Mm-hmm.
main feature, a tent pole. But to do that, those indie interviews and reviews and get the word out on a lot of the films that you see online, a lot of the films that come through film festivals
Mm-hmm.
that are not getting theatrical releases, that are straight to VOD. It's awesome. It's just an awesome thing that I love to be able to do. And, as I moved forward after the pandemic had started to subside,
Mm-hmm.
2021, I really kind of kicked in full gear and became a staff member with HorrorHound. I jumped on with our Zoe Judd for the film festival. She's absolutely amazing. She's run several film festivals, including F3 in the Cincinnati area.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a wonderful, the team that we've amassed as now assistant festival director, moderator, and working at between 2017 all the way up to there on occasional spot start with the main hall panels, which
Nice.
there's stories in themselves there. But basically that's the, in a nutshell, that's the trek, Greg, that I took from 2012 to now, and now full staff and being able to be there twice a year with the film festival, with the convention, podcast
Nice.
with my friend Old Man Brad, the HorrorHound Film Festival podcast, and more.
That is cool. That's I mean, one of the reasons I started the horror channel here, because I have another channel that I've actually grown pretty well.
Right.
But like you mentioned, like with the podcast and everything, is like that's I wanted to talk more horror. I've always been a horror fan, and I just want to make a channel. And I want, like you said, most people don't reach out to like people like you guys doing this. It's like, yes, I love talking to directors, and when I get the occasional celebrity stuff, yes, that is fun. But like the boots on the ground horror people, the horror fans, because I like to say this is the new home for horror fans. I want to know the perspective from like a horror fan who got to become part of the horror culture, like with the HorrorHound. I mean, this is one of the biggest horror conventions. You're writing for the magazine, you're doing the podcast, you're doing the film festival. Though I was not part of the film festival, sadly. I'm in a documentary. I'm in a documentary that my buddy did, and he had it in for submission, and he didn't make it this time around.
That's okay.
But that's
There's
okay.
It
happens. It happens. It always happens. Yeah.
And you know what, Greg? I'll add another one as a filmmaker, because I've had my work, a couple of my films play in the curated blocks for HorrorHound. So it's very full circle. Yes. But you're absolutely right about that, because anyone can go and attempt to talk to people. I've talked already to about 2,600 people. I've interviewed more people than some people know over the last 14 years, and I love it. I've been very blessed to do it. But anyone can go up and say, can I talk to you for a few minutes? It's how you do a conversation, but it's also getting the people that are boots on the ground, getting the people who can give you the stories that maybe they aren't going to be able to tell you because they don't know you. They don't feel comfortable.
Exactly. Yes.
But it's such a small group, though, that's like that, that's willing to put in the work. And believe me, it's been work, but it's been wonderful.
Yeah, no, I know all about putting in the work, man. I have been on this YouTube journey for so long now. And I just like, sometimes I get so frustrated. Like, why can't I just get through this damn algorithm?
I agree.
So,
it's a pain in the ass, man.
It is a pain in the ass. But no, I mean, that's what it's all about, right? I mean, we're horror fans. You're a horror fan. Yes, we want to see that. Like you see the Scream mask. I was there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right. That's a 30-year-old Scream mask. That's one of the originals.
I have the Jiffy Pop over on my wall on the other side.
Nice.
Signed Jiffy Pop. So it's very cool.
So I was having a blast there. I didn't get to meet Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich. Their lines were just insane. So I'm like, oh, it's fine, whatever. I sat in the panels. I did watch panels. I think you did moderate, because I was there. You moderated with the guy. Oh, I can't. His name's escaping me. Jason. He played Jason in.
We did. So we had a great meeting of the minds with the HorrorHound podcast, as well as the HorrorHound Film Festival, and we invited Andy and James to join us to kind of give people a feel of what that is going to be like, because HorrorHound has done so much, but the podcast area has always been something they wanted to do, and they're finally starting to get some shows in, Greg.
Yes.
And to be able to have John Kassir, which was the guest for us, and to oh my God, Derek Mears, to have
Yes,
him come
Dick.
on. I mean, it was just amazing, and both just amazing guys caring about the fans, tons of stories, and it's just awesome to be able to have them. And I'd like to say that's the last one. It's probably not. So maybe every year at the March show, we'll do another one and bring up some guests, talk about horror, do stuff like that. But that's one of the great things about HorrorHound. They, it really is a family. So you're bringing in people that
Mm-hmm.
are ingrained in that culture, people who want to be a part of that movement. I
Yes.
think I'm the only person that, except no, me and Jessica Dwyer. Jessica Dwyer is on the left coast. I'm on the right coast, but everyone's from that Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky area that works for HorrorHound, is staff for HorrorHound. So we're the
Mm-hmm.
outsiders of it, but yet we feel like family, and that's the great thing. But having those guests on and being able to do that it's amazing.
It was. I mean, it was good to. It was nice to listen to hear all that, the conversation
Yeah,
and everything, because that's like one of my favorite things. Is I love hearing the conversations. That's once again, that's why I do this, and that's like guys like
exactly.
I just love having like just a free conversation of like, oh, you like
Right,
this movie and you're into this, you're into that, and stuff like that. And yeah, that's what I was like. I've always wanted to sort of do the convention thing a little bit
right,
myself as well because yes, it is fun. I love going to the vendors like the physical media because I love
right.
physical media.
Same thing.
I was talking to Don May from Synapse. I was, having a ball with them, and then I was going. I talked to Joe Dante. I mean, I freaking talked
Yeah,
to Joe Dante.
he's amazing.
So that
He's
was awesome.
amazing. Oh God,
So
he's such a
yeah,
cinephile, and he's all about the old time theaters and the screenings. I had a
yes,
chance to talk with him 2019 up at Fantasia for Nightmare Cinema when he was up there with Mick Garris and two of the other directors, and sitting there for just 10 minutes talking with him about it and recording for Horror Happens was incredible. And
yeah.
he's just one of those throwbacks, my friend. He's got so much. He's forgotten more than we'll ever remember.
Yeah, exactly. So good. I mean, now with you doing the being a staff member and everything,
Right.
and getting into the magazine and the podcast and everything, what are some of the stories that you have from like, maybe with the celebrity or
Oh,
something that happened
sure.
at one of the conventions that was just like was insane or fun or whatever? Just like a moment in time that you're like, this is why I love doing what I do.
Well, there's a lot of them. I mean, you have to look at it. I mean, this has been now almost 50 issues for me that I've been a part of the magazine. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the times, you know, especially now, especially since I become full-time staff, it's harder to be able to handle stuff with the magazine like I used to do. I used to record content, I used to get stuff with the magazine. It's
Mm-hmm.
harder to do, but one of the very cool stories, and it actually ties into a guest who was at March's show, Ethan Embry.
Oh,
Now,
nice.
Ethan Embry didn't look like Popeye with the mustache like he did this show. He was there for the Devil's Candy,
Mm-hmm.
and Devil's Candy is a great film. Sean Byrne, and he was there doing a screening when Jason Hignite, one of the former directors of the film festival, great guy, very knowledgeable guy, was leading that particular area of the convention slash film festival. Because remember,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people come for the convention, but there's still a segment that don't even know that there's a film festival
Yeah.
that's a part of it. And it's a shame because there's, especially now, the selections and the curation of features, shorts, the Q&As, which I run the Q&As, and I have a great group of people that handle the Q&As that I oversee. You've got just so much with those new masters of horror, the indie filmmaking panel. That's also so important because you're
Mm-hmm.
seeing a lot of the filmmakers to be able to go up there and talk. But getting back to Ethan Embry, it was one of the cool times because Nathan Hanneman, again, he's one of the founders of it, him and Jeremy
Mm-hmm.
Sheldon. They gave me the opportunity to be able to talk with them, and I had like a 10-minute window to talk with them. And going in there, when you're in the green room of HorrorHound, and not many people can get in there, you need special permission to get in there to be with
Mm-hmm.
the guest. You need to be a staff member. To sit down for 10 minutes, Greg, and just talk with him. Just talk with him about that film, about stuff off camera, about Empire Records and stuff like that.
Nice.
It's absolutely phenomenal to do it. But it's like a blur, though, because you're in and out so quick, and you're going ahead and you're running back out there to be able to meet people. I mean, going back to Columbus, they had a holiday show 2017 in Columbus in November.
Mm-hmm.
It was something I had never seen before. And I was doing panels for that show. I did a couple panels. I had the chance to sit down with the now unfortunately passed on Ken Page and the legend Chris Sarandon. They had me do the Nightmare Before Christmas panel with them. And keep in mind, it wasn't a big panel room like they have at the convention center. It was just like this little like room that had a table and the audio equipment. And to sit down with Chris Sarandon and Ken Page to talk about Oogie Boogie and Jack Skeleton, to talk about it with the fans, and to get a little into Fright Night, to get a little bit into Broadway. It's one of those moments that sticks with me, that we had a question from the audience, and the audience was so good. They're so receptive because they have such a love for the Nightmare Before Christmas, but also for these two performers. Plus, at that time, Ken Page really wasn't doing a whole lot of horror stuff. Because, I mean, the Nightmare Before Christmas is more considered a family movie than a horror movie. However, for the holiday show, you know, it was front and center with it, with other films like Jack Frost, Silent Night, Deadly Night, Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, Black Christmas. It was an awesome experience for the holiday horror fan. But the fan asked Chris Sarandon about what he loved the most. And I'm sitting there, I'm listening, and I turn to Chris Sarandon, and he's in tears. He's crying. Because the people not only there was such a good connection between Ken Page and Chris Sarandon, but Chris Sarandon and Ken Page started regaling about Broadway and how much they loved performing on the stage and what it meant to be a real actor being up there. And I never saw someone break down so much in an interview on a panel as I did with Chris Sarandon. When I got off the panel and I walked out there and I shook his hand, I mean, his face was red, his eyes were wet, and he barely could talk because it had meant so much to be able to talk about those moments that are both horror and those moments that are personal to him outside the genre. And that's one of the great things about HorrorHound Weekend, because someone like Matthew Lillard has done so many things now beyond screen. He is great in his role in the Scream films, but he's done so much. The love he has for the fans, the passion he has for the fans, the idea that now he's involved in so many different properties in and out of the genre. He's another one that spends that time. Celebrities, Greg, over the years, Norman Reedus comes to mind with The Walking Dead. He would spend literally hours there meeting fans.
Nice.
I mean, you look at these kind of celebrities who are bigger than life, but they're there to be able to do it. And then in the same breath, you have someone like, and this is why I loved moderating panels. You have someone like Tobin Bell and Costas Mandylor, the two key head figures of the Saw franchise that were not Shawnee Smith and such.
Yes.
To have them up on the stage, to be able to go ahead and, you know, when you're up there, you know, you're expected to know your stuff. That's why they're putting you in charge of that situation with hundreds of people. And I made it a point, especially handling 4 different Sons of Anarchy panels when they were there, that those prime years of the show. You have to sit there, in my opinion, you've got to fill your brain with everything that you have to make sure you're ready for it. And that's one of the things I pride myself on, Greg, when it comes to it. Asking the man who is John Kramer, Tobin Bell, why he decided to take this role on. And in a very candid moment, going, because I had to pay my rent. The place roars with cheers and applause and laughter, because the man is such a great actor. And I've gotten to know him more after that panel, that Saw panel. But to sit there and to see him just engage and have that connection, that's one of the beauties of it. There's so many stories, Greg, that goes into HorrorHound over the last decade plus, because HorrorHound, beyond the fact that it's a family, it's such a great platform for those generations of horror families to be able to go in there and meet them. I've seen families come in and a celebrity who looks like they're exhausted will just flip that switch and turn around and give them what they want. Derek Mears is a great one, who was just at the March show, sitting at his booth. Someone cut off, and he was pretty pissed about it. But he turned around after he had said what he had to say to who he had to say to, which he handled it very well. And he was right back into that flow of helping people, signing, taking the time. That is the beauty of this, and that's why there's so many stories when it comes to HorrorHound. And believe me, I've had good stories, Greg, like the ones I just said, and I've had other ones where I've had members of the Sons of Anarchy panel, call me really inappropriate names because we were finishing the panel, we were getting off, and someone else had a question, and one of them called me a really inappropriate name.
Oh,
but that's who they are.
right,
That's
right,
who they are. And I think they're more their character than the actual person. But the fans love it. And you're there to build that bridge with the fans and the guests. That's what it's all about when it comes to it. To get those experiences, those stories like I've had for over a decade.
That's incredible. It's like this past. I mean, now I don't have stories like that, but this past when I was just,
for a while like that. So
yeah, when I was just there, like you mentioned Matthew Lillard, and it was great because the panel they did, him and Skeet Ulrich did together, was a really great panel. I sat and watched that, and because Skeet Ulrich got down and he had the microphone, he was going to everybody, and as they asked the questions, and Matthew Lillard was up there, and you could tell by the love he had, like how he talked about that, like yeah. And then not only that, like I'm waiting in line to meet David Arquette. I've told this story here on this channel, but I'm like waiting in line to meet David Arquette. Didn't have the cash on me. I forgot. The woman behind me who I've never met, her and her boyfriend's like, we'll front you the cash and you can pay. And then the ATM and I'll get that. I'm like, cool. Thank you. It's like, so that's why I love horror fans, right? Cause like we're there for each other. And I'm getting right up to 100%. Like this the best fandom I've ever been a part of. And so I'm right there about to take my picture with David Arquette. Mick Foley cuts me off. And starts taking pictures with David Arquette right in front of me. So I'm like, okay, it could be worse. It could be worse.
My friend. You don't want to.
It could be worse. And then, I had my thing. So like, no, I get what you're saying because like, yes, like I talk about Scream a lot. It's not my favorite horror movie, but it's one of my favorite horror movies because I've seen like since I was a kid, it's so many, but like just to see so many people there to see them this past convention in March, and then also Elvira and like even the Happy Death Day girls that were there, and then like Joe Dante, and like I got to meet John Carpenter's wife. Yes, I mean like I had a really great conversation with Sandy King. I had a real like we talked about our hair and everything, right? So
that's
like
you don't have to worry about.
Yeah, so it was a really good just they're so fun, and just the fact that you guys put you guys because I want to applaud you guys.
There's a lot more people than me, man. You talk, I give them the credit, give them the flowers.
I know, but you're a part of that, and all the people that set all that up and everything. Like you guys, I can't even imagine to do everything you guys do to bring all that together.
It's 365 days a year, Greg, to be able to put on 2 conventions. I mean, from the film festival side, for me now, it's an all-year event. We have a great group that judge the features and shorts. Zoe is just amazing. I love her with all my heart. All the different people that are a part of it in and out of the convention weekend make it all happen. I mean, it's even the handlers who handle all the guests that are there. Every person, every volunteer, every person matters to that show to make it run. And it's not like a secret sauce. There's problems, there's situations, there's drama. There always is when it comes to it. But it's something that, we can't make it without them. And I remember I just actually looked at a picture recently of like one of the first couple of years with HorrorHound when they were all just starting out, the small group starting out. And look where it's gotten to now. Thousands upon thousands of people coming to Cincinnati, Sharonville, twice a year now. And thank God it's not in Indianapolis anymore. Don't even get me started on that with it. But being in there and calling that, a vacation, a home, a safe haven, whatever it is, that's what matters to it the most when it comes to it, Greg. And to be able to have people, as the story you just said, sitting there giving you the benefit of doubt, giving you the break so you can get what you need to and come back. It's wonderful to be able to see that, camaraderie.
It is. It's like, that's why I talk like every horror fan I've ever met is just like one of the nicest.
Yes.
Like they're so nice. They're so down to earth. It's like they'll literally give you the shirt off their back without ever never meeting you ever before in your entire life. And that's why I like, I know there's been so much about conventions lately and stuff like that. And I'm just like, well, yeah, but I'm like, I'm having a blast.
Yeah,
Right.
everyone's
So,
got different things, man.
yeah.
Everyone's got opinions. I won't
Right.
fill in the other part of that sentence. Everyone's
Yeah.
got opinions. Everyone's got something else with it. But Greg, whether you don't like the prices, whether you don't like the wait lines, whether you don't like the travel, whatever it is, that's fine. But there
Yeah.
is a huge population with a very niche art form of horror that love it. So leave
Yes.
it be.
I mean, yeah, I'm just like, I'm there. Like, if I can't meet a celebrity and can't get some sign, whatever, no big deal.
Right.
I mean, I'm there. I'm around people that like love this stuff I love. I can get whatever I want. If I have the money, I'm gonna buy something, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I just have a
Exactly.
blast about it. It's fun. It's a fun time. It's literally a fun time. Like I see people with their families there, like little kids and everything, and
Right.
I'm like, sometimes I'm surprised about that though. Like, it's like,
You start
but
them young,
it's
man.
there,
Start
it's
them
there,
young.
and it's a generational thing, like you mentioned earlier. It's a generation because there's so like listen to Tom Atkins speak last
Right.
time was just
Legend.
like, man, he just like 90-something years old, and it's like comes right off his head. Like he remembers it like it's yesterday, and he's laughing and he's just like having a hell of a time. And it's just we were
He's
just
a
like
good dude.
he's a good dude. We were just watching him buy candles. We were just standing there watching him buy candles at the convention. And it's just like that's like these people are like they're just here having fun as much as we're there having fun. And the film festival, which I do want to get to that real quick because my
Yeah.
friend Justin Seaman, who
Yes,
did
the
the
Barn
Barn
3.
3. Yes, I'm kicking myself because I did not get to go see that. I had to leave before see it, but like he was so excited to be a part of the film
He's
festival and
amazing.
everything. He's a great guy, and just like that's something else you guys do there, because there's more than just vendors and people selling T-shirts or movies or celebrity signing. Like you have the film convention, because I do want to touch on that a little bit because and you're
Yeah,
part of that. You know, do what you do with that. So like tell little people about the convention you guys have, or the
absolutely.
festival, I
Absolutely.
mean.
The film festival is one of the greatest parts of the entire weekend. And I say this when I do the panel, when I do introductions, or I'm a part of it with Zoe, or I'm doing the Q&A. You could be anywheres in that big convention center, and feels like it gets bigger every time I go there.
Mhm.
They're adding stuff to it, but you have to understand you could be anywheres, but you're there. And that's one of the benefits of it, because you're seeing all these great films, selected by such a unique group of professionals. They really are professionals in so many different walks of life, beyond filmmaking, beyond
Mhm.
horror, beyond effects, beyond X, Y, and Z that has to do with the production of horror art and horror film.
Yeah.
But this is something that's been going on for literally years. And, it's had its ebbs and flows. It's had a lot of different regime changes. And to me, I think Zoe is arguably the best that they've had in a long time. And it's not
Mhm.
because I work with her in the capacity I do. It's because I've been there for over a decade, and I've seen the different regimes go through. And, Aaron Christensen was one of my favorites way back when. Jason Hignite did a great job. He put his mark on it. The people in between were good in transition of the pandemic. It really is something that's remarkable. And it's going from the doors opening on Friday all the way until the doors are pretty much closing on Sunday. And it's usually during the daytime in the convention. So granted, signage sucks. That's one of the problems we have with this, is that they could have more signs and stuff. The
Mhm.
volunteers are great. The information desk is great, but they need more signs. But that's
Mhm.
above my pay grade.
Yeah.
With that being said, though, you've got wonderful blocks. Horror is such a niche art form, but you have so many subgenres being represented each time for each film festival, spring and fall, and different themes, different films coming in. The Barn 3 is a great example of
Mhm.
it. The Barn 3, um, arguably, is probably the best entry in the entire series because of the production value, because of the story, because of what they're able to do
Mhm.
with that, what Justin and his team are able to do. And Justin is an absolute beast when it comes to it, because he has dedicated his life to independent horror. Him and his wife,
Yes.
with Scream
Yes.
Team, with the Barn series, producing other stuff. He is an absolute amazing guy, very friendly, exceptionally knowledgeable. I'd like to say I know a lot, but there's guys who know a hell of a lot more than me, Greg.
Right.
I'm right place, right time with it. But that's the wonderful thing about doing this for the years. You learn stuff and you're able to be able to take that knowledge and move forward. And that's what Justin does
Yeah.
with every endeavor he does. But that's also what Zoe has done, what Justin has done, what Hannah has done, what Ronnie's done, what Brad has done, Savannah's done. These are all people that are a part of that team that make the film festival run. My friend Travis, now, we have this great on-site podcast we've been doing now called Blood and Barbecue. And Blood and Barbecue is where we're on site. Travis cooks up some amazing barbecue. He really is an incredible pit master. And we sit there and we bring on guests and we talk horror when it comes to it and the film festival. And it's part of the HorrorHound Film Festival podcast, which you can hear on, all major platforms, and you can check out on the HorrorHound website. But all those elements make up the film festival. And it's so crucial because you can spend the money on the guests, you can go to the vendors, you can get the photo ops, you can do so much. But that downtime, you can see the new masters of horror.
Yes.
You can go ahead and go in for the indie filmmakers panel on Friday at 5, and sometimes now on Saturday, like 11 a.m. noon, and talk to these people about relevant subjects, about filmmaking, about everything around the sun, just like we're doing right now.
Yes. A
lot of the horror also causes conversations because horror is meant to be talked about. It's meant to be something to discuss. It's meant to, it's a great learning tool because I can show you a horror film and teach you a lesson without you even realizing it because you're so engulfed in those tropes, in those scares, in that story, those characters. So it's a great teaching tool and it handles a lot of different themes and topics. That's the beauty of it. And, you're going to find the guests, and a lot of the guests are more convention exclusive. With the film festival, you're going to see a lot of different films and a lot of different visions from a lot of amazing creative people across the board. So it's crucial. It's ongoing. It's awesome. And it's something that if you have the time and you haven't been there, be there in mid-September. I think horrorhoundweekend.com. Be there in September as we get closer. The schedule will be up for it for the film festival. Stop in, say hi to me and the rest of them, and see these films and walk out with a new perspective, possibly in horror.
Yeah, I mean, I had a great conversation with Justin because I knew him through social media, and that was the first time we met in person.
Right,
and we had this really great, at his booth, we talked for like a good, I want to say almost a half hour. We had this really great, amazing conversation because I'm a huge supporter of independent horror and everything, because those are the next. Like you mentioned, those are the next evolution in horror or whatever. That in his, I really enjoyed the Barn movies, and I'm kicking myself that I did not get to see the third one there while I was there. But I actually had to leave early, so that kind of upset me. I missed out on that. But no, that's one of the things I love this convention is because I can go from one corner and buy a T-shirt, and then go to the next corner and sit down and watch some horror movies. I mean, it's all encompassing thing. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say you're right about it. It's got a lot to offer you, but one of the things and one of the reasons why, Greg, I'm a part of the film festival is because I spent so many years going to film festivals. If I didn't get involved at the time I did, 2015, 2016, as much as I did, I don't know if I'd be here right now because I kind of lost my flair. I love horror. I've been a lifelong horror fan for as long as I remember, but I would have walked away from it, maybe a decade ago. Because film festivals really reinvigorated how I felt about horror and about horror filmmaking. And over the last decade, it's taken me on so many different journeys, so many different memories, so many different projects, so many different endeavors, so many doors opening when it comes to it. And that's the beauty of it. I wouldn't be writing for HorrorHound magazine if I didn't get involved in the film festival. So that's also, Greg, and this is something, for your listeners out there, if you want to get involved in these things, the film festival is also a great door to open because a lot of the filmmakers, a lot of the actors, the older ones, maybe not as much because it wasn't available back then.
Right.
But Ty West, who was here a year ago, how did he start? He started in film festivals. He started working with Glass Eye Pix and Larry Pheasant, and his work was in there. I listened to commentary for The House of the Devil. Absolutely brilliant with Ty West. Adam Wingard, another one. Film festivals. Damien with Terrifier, another one. Film festivals. Film festivals are the key and heart. And it's exactly as you say, it's that next evolution. You may see a horror director one minute here, Then the next minute, his film or her film catches fire, and they're out there making the next big one. As you see now with Lee Cronin. Lee Cronin was a film festival staple for years. Now he's doing the Mummy, Evil Dead, whatever you want to call that film now, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
but
whatever.
Another one. And most of the people funnel through that. So it's a great place to see the future.
It is, and that's what I love. That's what I love, because it's so much to do there, and to see all that. I'm still one day you'll see me on one of those movies in your film festival, because my buddy, the VHS Massacre, Thomas Seymour does the VHS Massacre documentaries. He's been running his on the film festival. His it's called a VHS Massacre Story, Video Dreams.
Nice.
And yes, I'm in that. Briefly,
we're all going to be somewheres.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a story about his journey in filmmaking, low budget independent filmmaking. Because what happens when the dream you have, where you're trying to make movies, and it sort of stops, and then he starts making these documentaries, and they started taking off.
Right.
So now, what happens when your dream changes? And I'm part of that story because I had him on my channel, and we had a great conversation. Nice. And so and I'm in that documentary. I'm also in his next documentary he's working on, called Enter the Television. Much bigger role in that one. Much bigger role in that one.
That's awesome.
Yes. So one day you may see me in your film festivals at HorrorHound on the screen.
You may. But you know what you're doing also. And as someone who has been on both sides of it, where I've been someone who's wanted it badly to be able to be a part of it, and now I walk through the hotel hallways and I see all these people, and I'm like, I've reached the mountain. I've reached the top. I've done what I wanted to do. And the person who's on the other side going, you know what? I've seen the work that you've done. Would you like this opportunity to do this? It's just remarkable to be able to have those experiences. And the more work you put into it, it doesn't always pay, but once you're working on it, eventually the chips are put in center of the table and something happens for you. But you got to be persistent. Even if you hit ebbs and flows and breaks, you got to be persistent on it, because there's a lot of people, Greg, out there in that ocean of podcasts and horror content. You have to distinguish yourself. And that's one thing I've been thankful that I've been able to do with HorrorHound and other endeavors as well.
Yes. And that's what I want to do with this channel here as well. Because like I said, I have another channel, which is much more bigger than this channel is right now. But this is a brand new, I just literally just started this channel.
Awesome, but thank you for having me on.
I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. Is just like, I don't want to be the same guy creating the same horror stuff over and over. Right.
A lot of people do the same thing. Yeah, I agree.
And it's very successful, and it gets them, gets them up there and gets the numbers and everything. But I don't want to just be that guy. You know what I mean?
You have to be open to doing everything, man. I've done everything from extreme to underground film, all the way through to mainstream red carpets, going out, traveling the world, to Brazil, to Mexico, to London, to Spain, to everything in between. You have to be willing to take the chances and do some things that people wouldn't do. You've got to be willing to put in the meat work. Again, I'm Slaughter in Syracuse back in 2014, 2015, in and around that area of time. I was running the Q&As and the panels there when no one else wanted to do it up in Syracuse, New York, at the Palace Theater. Why? I wasn't really a fan of underground film, but I came to respect it, and I came to really enjoy the fact that I had these experiences. Talking to 2,600 different people, 2,600 interviews. I don't know how many people, I've lost count of people, but 2,600 interviews for HorrorHound, Horror Happens Radio, and other platforms. You've got to be willing to talk to them. And I remember going through HorrorHound, going to vendor tables, going to art tables, going to Mask Fest, going around, talking to guests, getting 5-10 minutes with D. Wallace here, going over to this table and talking to this director or this band, or talking to the people who are doing it. It makes lifelong relationships, friendships, partnerships, but it also gives you a very, very wide and broad spectrum of who you're talking to, what you're covering within horror, and then expanding it further into cinema. Because I've talked to Don May before too, and Don May, why I don't nearly know as much as probably you do about the older horror cinema. And I say that because I'm not as much of a fan of it. I'm more of a fan of the newer genre, the last Let's go the last 30 years right now.
Right.
I'm a bigger fan of that than I am the previous. Do you know what that makes me? In the minority, because
Yeah, that's true.
everyone loves Halloween and Friday the 13th, and I love
Yes,
them
yes,
too.
yes.
But I don't have that obsession. I am more obsessed about Your Next, 28 Days Later, Scream, ones like that are the
Hmm.
modern horror ones. And by the way, I'm going to give a quick plug, because if you love modern horror, I just read a book by Clark Collis called Screaming and Conjuring. If you
Hmm.
love horror from the last 30 years, pick it up. It is amazing. He is a former EW writer. He is someone who wrote a book that is absolutely incredible about that period of time. But again, it's in the minority because people would rather go the
Yeah.
traditional route than the now film festivals and the future, unfortunately.
I understand that. I do, and to some degree, I can admit as a horror fan that like the new modern horror,
Right.
whatever you want to call it, is like doesn't always appeal to me.
That's fine.
But personally, I have been trying myself. I have been
I
trying
appreciate
to
that.
branch out a little more and get into a little like I do want to see Carrie Barker's Obsession. I think
Oh, I
that
can't
does.
wait to see that.
I think that looks
Can't wait.
amazing. So it's not like I'm not against new horror movies. I mean,
No, not
like
even what I'm even saying about it. It's just
no, no,
it's
yeah,
more about
exactly.
love
I
of
know.
the old school. That's all.
Exactly. Sometimes people like oh, he likes new horror movie. Oh, I can't listen to
Oh,
this guy. Or it's like no. He's a horror fan. Like just because he
that's right.
doesn't like the like creep show, or well, he probably does like creep show, but just because he
Yeah,
didn't grow up
I
with
love
like all
Creep Show.
these type movies like Evil Dead and
Right.
Halloween and like it doesn't have that like connection we have. So it doesn't mean he doesn't, you know,
Exactly.
and so like I absolutely love the Universal monsters. I'm a big monster
Absolutely.
kid. I love these old 80s and 90s horror movies. That's what I grew
Absolutely.
up on and everything. And no, maybe I don't get to see the practical effects or the blood, the actual blood looking, not it's all CGI blood and stuff like that now. And like even like with the new you like the Evil Dead and Lee Cronin, yeah, I'm happy Lee Cronin has found his success.
Right.
I'm not really a fan of his work. His new movies like
That's
the
okay.
Evil Dead Rise, I don't get the love for that movie, but I'm not going to say, you know what, that movie absolutely sucked. Why do you like it? Don't talk to me ever again.
Exactly. You have to
I
be open minded.
exactly like me personally. I love those conversations, whether people like them or not, because I want to hear why you don't like them or why you like them, and I think that connects us because we can say like, see, you're like me, you know, you know what I mean? Just because I have like the Evil Dead with Bruce Campbell doesn't mean you can't be friends with somebody who likes Evil Dead
Exactly.
Rise.
And I love talking to people who are fans of the older, because again,
Yeah.
it's not that I don't love the older. I do. I'm a fan of what they've done. I respect what they've done. I just like newer stuff. But my friend Jeremy Osborne, who's with me, and Katie, the girl in the girl in the front row,
Mm-hmm.
when we talk about it, Oz is such a fan of the old school horror that
Mm-hmm.
I sit there and we have really sometimes heated conversations about what's good, what's not. Well, this is my favorite Halloween. Well, I couldn't care about Halloween. Give me the
Yeah.
first two or three and I'm good. But all the sequels, are they needed? Are they needed? I don't know. I mean, I got to be honest with you. It's more cult status that comes with the franchise than actual quality. But
Mm-hmm.
that's my opinion. If you love it, God bless you, man. We all love the horror, and that's the point of it. It's one big dysfunctional family that
Yeah.
loves it, and we all love it for different reasons, and that's the beauty of it.
Exactly, and that's what I'm like. Yeah, I never turn against. I'm never going to try to be like, hey,
No, you would
don't
never, never.
exactly like I've made some statements that people do not like about horror.
That's
What's
okay.
like I speaking of Halloween, I fucking hated Halloween Ends.
The Halloween Ends is my favorite
Halloween's
of the three.
See, this is
See,
where
there you
I
go.
just got in trouble with this because I absolutely fucking hated that movie.
That's okay. It's different, man. But
And
you know what? Halloween Ends is more like what the original Halloween franchise was supposed to be like, where it
that,
wasn't Michael Myers centered.
I get
Carpenter
that.
said it.
See, I get that because I love Halloween 3. I do
Yeah,
love Halloween 3.
absolutely. See, I just
But
listened to commentary. It's great.
my biggest problem with that is like this is a concluding chapter of a trilogy,
Right.
and that you set up a story in the first two movies and you completely divert from that story for a character that could have had his own
But here's
slasher
the thing, though.
film, and it's Christine all over again. It's Christine.
Well, I'll tell
And
you this.
I
Again,
just
Greg, I'm going to say that part two, and you listen to Carpenter talk about it, part two was not anything that he really enjoyed doing. Part two was more just
Oh, I
that
know. Yeah,
we
I know
made
that.
money and we need to make a sequel. Same thing
Yeah.
with Friday the 13th. Nightmare on Elm Street might be the most unique and most different because how they handled the sequel for part two.
Mm-hmm.
It's very different. But the Friday the 13th, Halloween, those franchises were driven by the success of their initial films and the money they made. And you know what? Again, you have a sequel. It was never meant to be Michael Myers driven.
That's true. But these three new movies were meant to be
But
Michael
they're
Myers
also,
driven,
I
and they
love
were supposed to be
Blumhouse,
a
but we didn't
trilogy.
need them. We didn't need them.
No, no,
We didn't
100%.
need
I
them.
agree with
We
you with
didn't
that
need them.
100%. We did not need those
We
movies
didn't
at
need them.
all. If anything, we do not that we really need it, but I mean, there's like 13 Halloween movies and there's only 12
Oh,
Friday the
God.
13th. I mean, you can't even have a 13th movie in the Friday the 13th series.
No, they're too
That's
busy bitching about the rights. Give me a
exactly
break.
not that that needs it, but I mean, out of the horror movies, that's Friday the 13th. You think you would have 13 horror movies?
Listen, I used to live close to Blairstown, New Jersey. In Northwest New Jersey, I used to go to the Blairstown Diner. I've walked through the arches. I've done everything. And I'll be honest with you, if they came back, and that's what I hope they do, that they come back to where the film is going to be.
Yeah,
I know with the series here, I think they've talked about shooting some of it in Blairstown or somewhere around there, but that place looks very familiar, very similar to when it was shot way back when. So it's there, guys, to make a 13. But do we need it? No,
we don't. But I would. I mean, gotta at
we'll
least
get the
give
walkers
it 13.
out. Jason will be like, oh.
But no, I mean, I get where you're coming from, and I understand that. Even though we have a separate,
of course,
that's like
absolutely.
even my thing is like that's what I was trying to say. Is like even though I put down Halloween's ends, I'm not saying just because I hated the movie doesn't mean I'm saying that all people that like the movie are stupid or something.
Country, folks. It's a free country.
That's what always gets me is like people automatically assume you're offending them personally.
Stop.
When you say you don't like a movie.
I love the passion that horror fans have. I love it. But you know what? It's exactly, fan is in the root word for fanatic, and these people are fanatics about it, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just had someone post up on my Facebook feed today about the episode of the That Screening podcast. You talk about new channels, new podcast for me. We're 11 episodes in with Zach Parker, who did Proxy, and he's talking about his world premiere screening at TIFF in 2013. Whole premise is about lasting film screenings and personal cinema. I had some guy tell me he hates podcasts, he hates new films. I had to block him because it's one thing to say, listen, I don't really dig that kind of film. I don't like the IFC titles. I get it. But it's another thing to just be abrasive and be rude and be a jerk.
Exactly.
And you don't need to be that because we all love horror. We may love different horror. I hate it. You're next. Hated it when it came out. That phrase, it just gets under my skin. What's Clue? I felt I was burning. Like Madeline Concept.
Flames.
Flames coming out of my head when people have that tag on it. The scariest movie in a decade. It's the scariest movie I saw that with Your Next, and I go, I'm gonna hate this. I've come to love Your Next. I've come to love Your Next. I don't like Friday the 13th or A Nightmare on Elm Street. I dislike it. I've come to love that movie. I've come to love what they're able to do. It's all about maturity. It's all about age, and it's all about what you watch, because the more you watch, the more you come to appreciate what horror is in all of its nooks and crannies. You don't understand what's being, and Greg, if you make horror, then you understand it even on a different level. And that's one of the reasons why during the pandemic from 2020 to 2022, I went back to school. I went to film school at Montclair State, where I graduated like 8 years earlier. And I'll tell you what, it was two of the best years because I didn't go back to become a filmmaker. I went back to learn more about the craft of what we do, to understand cinematography and editing and production design and directing and casting, all those elements of filmmaking. And that's something that, and I'm on tape with this, and I'll stick to it till the day I die, because Greg, I don't want to say I'm guilty of this, but we all start out this way. It's hard for me looking back now, listening to the interviews, all the interviews I've done, and say I was a good journalist at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been a good interviewer because I learned that early on from my father, from my mother, going to school, debating, all that stuff. I learned how to talk and how to speak. But if you are not out there doing it, if you're not out there making the movies, you're not out there going to the film festivals, you're not out there being a part of that community, it's hard for me to understand why your perspective matters as much. And I don't care if it sounds jerky, then it sounds jerky, because there are so many people nowadays who go ahead and get the opportunity to make podcasts. Anyone can have a podcast. Anyone can talk about whatever they want. It's a free country. God bless you. But the really good ones, the ones that stick with people, are the ones with the people who know what they're doing. And for a long time, until probably 2016, I can't say that I was really happy with my work. When I hit that mark and I started going to film festivals all the time, I started making the films, I started talking to an even larger spectrum of guests, it really impacted my work. And again, it opened the door for HorrorHound, to get back to that. It opened the door for me to be able to be a part of it as a staff writer, film fest, moderator, staff there, and so much more. It really does. And that's advice I say, Greg. You go out to HorrorHound, you're moving in the right direction. You go out to film festivals, conventions, do it. Because guys, if you don't do it, credibility, in my opinion, is suspect, because we can all talk about it, but can you back up that talk?
You know what? That is, I mean, exactly said. This is why I like talking to directors on my channel, because I love it. And I've talked to Adam Green.
Oh, he's great.
Yes, he's great. He said something very similar, because he was talking about how Terrifier. He told me, that you got him and Joe Lynch have been telling people you got to get out to the conventions.
Right.
The conventions, like what they did with Terrifier, even what they did with Hatchet. That is how you build. Like if you, and yes, I mean, there's so many like YouTubers to the horror directors now.
Oh, sure, without
but
doubt.
They're still going out to the, like Chris Stuckman. He was there. He was there. Curry, whatever Barker. I keep wanting to say his name wrong. Obsession. I believe he was like a YouTuber. So like yes, you can start off on YouTube and then go into these movies and filmmaking. So that's what I love learning about filmmaking. Like just because I don't like a movie doesn't mean I can't appreciate the filmmaking value of it, and the way it was done, all the work that was put into it, because it's a collective effort. It's not just it's a collective effort. And with that being said, I don't know if you're in the know on any of this. If you could tell, like, can you give us any hints about who might be coming to the September convention?
I don't know yet, because it's too far in advance. I know they booked some prime guests. I know Robert Englund is one of them. That has been announced already. And I love what Nathan Hanneman did with it, because he's got that 1980s 8-bit video game promotion going on. And I know they announced Robert Englund. I'm pretty sure. But other than that, guests, no, I really can't, because him and a handful of people handle that, and they keep it pretty secret, because one of the great things about it is that release of guests, getting it out to the people. And nowadays, with the way people are, and I maybe it's because I'm old, maybe it's because I come from a different era, but I have a code about not giving up things when it comes to it. But the same thing goes for the film festival, Greg. When you do the film festival, it's not up until the last month or so, maybe 6 weeks, that we really lock in that lineup. We send out the selections. We go through the judging panel on who's being selected, who's not, because Zoe and I are not involved in any stretch of the selection, judging, awards, anything, in the positions we're in. And I've learned that as a programmer, as a director of other film festivals, as a judge, a jury on some really great ones, covering them as press, you've got to be fair and impartial when it comes to it. And there are some, most of them are on the line, some are not. And that's unfortunate about it. But with that being said, even knowing the film lineup leading into the film festival, let alone the guest lineup, you want to be able to build up that anticipation, because it's all about this. It's all about money. It's all about people, because without the people coming out, without the vendors being a part of it, those guarantees aren't paid. The rent's not paid. The people who are getting paid for it, I don't, that's above my pay grade, no pun intended, when it comes to it. But all that's got to be done. So it's all a matter of waiting to see who's coming out and building that anticipation. And
Right.
you're just going to have to wait, my friend.
Yes. So hey, I can't blame you for trying. I always
That's okay.
like to try
No,
to like try to get in, but you know, but hey, I mean, it's worth a shot though.
of
But I
course it is.
appreciate,
Oh,
yeah, I appreciate
it's
this.
good.
I thank you so very much for you know, I would have told you I wanted to keep you about an hour here. We're
That's
approaching
perfect.
that hour.
I've been having a great time.
This has been a really fun conversation. I really like this because
Thank
as
you.
somebody who is getting into this, well, I'm not can't I shouldn't say getting because really been doing it for like 5 years, but just on a different channel. Just on a different channel.
That's okay.
This one is focused towards horror. But as somebody who's been getting to this and is wanting to do something, it's refreshing to talk to somebody like you who went through all this work to get to where you are, to get to the position you are in HorrorHound for the film festival, for the magazine and the stories and the journalism and all that. That is a really refreshing thing to hear and see because sometimes you put in a lot of work and you feel like I mentioned earlier, like why can't I just get through this? Why isn't people watching me?
I get it. Yes. It's
So.
tough to be able to do. I mean, nowadays the algorithms are a problem. But to be honest with you, you got to do it because you love it. If you don't do it for your love it, for the love of it, you know, then there's no reason in doing it because sooner or later something's going to catch fire. Whether it's and again, I'll say this: I spent years doing live horror radio 5 days a week or once a week, but for 4 to 5 hours and having all these guests on. And I did it like 50 weeks a year at least. And I was building up the little pieces around it to be able, Greg, when the time was right, to be able to expand. And HorrorHound was one of the big expansions for me. And from there, I got in the door and I moved up the ladder and I'm working with them. And I'm very happy at where I am with them. And I thank them for that. But even when you feel like you're down, either do one of two things. One, you persevere through, or two, you reinvent. And that's what I did with me in 2016 by going with the film festivals rather than just having guests on that were just guests, just people talking to. I needed something else to ignite me, and I did it. And I'm so thankful I did.
That's sort of why I started the horror channel because I needed something.
Yeah, you need it
to ignite me. I mean, like I love physical media, and my other channels basically geared towards physical media and stuff, and that's you know, the survival of it, which I I love doing that, and I love talking about that. But somewhere along the way, I couldn't talk about horrors as much as I used to in the beginning of it, and I was like, I want to talk horror. I really want to talk horror. So I'm sort of like, it's another passion of mine, and that's why I'm sort of like I created this and started doing this, and I'm not letting my other channel go because that's my that's my main channel. And
of course,
everything,
I
right?
understand.
And then plus I built so many connections from that is helping me with this channel here as well. So it's just like I needed something, and it sort of has also reignited a little bit of passion with that channel as well because I was kind of feeling like I don't know what to do over there anymore.
Right.
And then I started this and just started making a few videos here and there about horror and what I want to talk about. And it also kind of like, now I want to go back and make a video over here for this channel, and because there's something I want to talk about over here. Right. So now it's like, it's really helped me. It's honestly really has helped me with my goals of what I want to do on here. So for both channels.
Well, you know what? And that's something also, again, you have to reinvent. If you're reinventing the physical media, what have you not done yet? What can you put your fingerprint, your stamp on? Because a lot of what I've done in my life, I put my fingerprint and my stamp on it. I used to do live radio, 40 to 45-minute conversations with every guest. It was a lot, but it was something I loved long form. And that was one of my fingerprints when it came to it. Now, as I've gotten older, I've gone to short form. No, usually with that screening or horror happens, it's no more than maybe 20 or 25 minutes, just enough when you can sit in the car and listen to it and have a good time with it. But there's things out there. You've just got to be willing not only to keep your eyes open and be inspired by it, but also not be afraid to reinvent it. And physical media, there's so many different physical media eras. Are you talking about VHS? You're talking about DVD? You're talking about laser? Are you talking about stuff like posters and stuff like that? Are you talking about art? Are you talking about all toys? What are you talking about? That's going to make the people interested. And it's there. I mean, I knew two guys, Greg, that tried to do like a I want to say it's not Porn Stars. The show where they're on like the Antique Road show where they're out.
Pawn Stars?
No, not Porn Stars. No. It's the guys who would get in the van and go around to different.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. American Pickers. Yes.
They would do, and they did like a horror memorabilia one, and it was really cool. But the problem was it didn't catch on. But it's also the people that are interested in it, because while horror is a big community, again, it's very niche, and we just talked about it with old school versus new school. So it's all there with it. So
it's all there. Yeah, it's just you got to find the right little thing. Yes, but I appreciate you. Thank you, Jay, for coming on here and talking with me. This was a really, really great conversation.
Thank you, I enjoyed it. Thank you.
I enjoyed it so much. Maybe I'll get to see you in September at HorrorHound.
I hope so, man.
You know, I'll probably be there. There's barring anything coming up from now to then.
Only God knows, man. Only God knows.
So I'll probably be there. So hopefully I'll get to see you there. But I appreciate you. I'll get the links from you for the description down below for people to go and click on your links.
Yeah, check out the social media. Strange Man in the Film Land and JK, JYKY.
There you guys go. And I appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys like, share, comment, subscribe, check him out and everything.
Thank you guys for all your support.
Yes, and have a horrific day and watch some horror movies because they make your day better. I'll see you guys later.
See you. Pleasant nightmares.